My key takeaway from today is that often we hear that there's a disconnect between the climate communities and the trade community. My impression from today was actually, if you talk to countries and hear from their perspective, they understand that these issues are linked, that climate and trade issues are linked, and that they're linked with their development. So part of what we can do is listen to them more and support their efforts to connect the dots between the political processes that are indeed siloed, but the understanding is not as siloed as we might think. So in our work, we hear a lot about the need to align trade and climate. From our perspective, what's really important is we bring together the climate communities and the trade communities, but anchor that also in a perspective from developing countries about what they need in terms of a climate resilient development, in terms of a just transition. The risk of not doing that is LDCs can be further marginalized from international trade opportunities, and the real economic and trade impacts of the climate crisis are neglected in these discussions. As we approach MC14, there's going to be a lot of interest in whether or not the WTO can offer something on climate cooperation. At TESS, we think it's vital that members of the WTO can forge new ways of cooperating on climate at the WTO. We think it's vital that they do this both in order to contribute to have a trade contribution to the global climate agenda in terms of decarbonisation, but also for the two other pillars of the global climate agenda. So to understand and address also issues around adaptation and trade, and also issues around the tremendous losses economically and in terms of trade that many of the most vulnerable countries face. So one of the things that we're looking for at MC14 is that governments can come together and find some pathway forward at the WTO to foster more cooperation around climate issues and dialogue around these, again, anchored in an understanding of the kind of concerns that we've heard expressed at this workshop today from LDCs and in other work we do from developing countries and SIDS as well. We really want to contribute to an ambitious climate agenda globally, but we think it really must be equitable and inclusive in the way that it's advanced. One of the further things that we're involved with TESS is we have the privilege of serving as the Secretariat of the Coalition of Trade Ministers on Climate. And here the coalition brings over 60 ministers from all regions, countries of all levels of development, to try and see how they can work collectively through high-level political dialogue to make a positive contribution from the trading system and through trade to the global climate agenda. What's significant, again, with the coalition is that it talks about the importance of inclusive cooperation at the nexus of trade, climate, and sustainable development, and the importance of delivering outcomes in terms of climate resilient development on the ground.